Starting this self-improvement stuff is so damn hard. Everyone else is already halfway there, and here I am, all on my own at the very beginning. There must be a good pragmatic way to start. Surely everyone has started at some point and had no clue, right? Hey guys, today we talk a bit about the very first steps in self-improvement and what to look out for. This video is basically a short summary of chapter 3 of my book, The Self-Improvement Almanac. You can get a lot more structured and detailed information there. And to use the opportunity, today the new digital version of the Self-Improvement Almanac is released on Patreon with a good bit of new content and clarification thanks to your feedback. Thanks again for your feedback. I always appreciate it. So if you have feedback, give it to me. I really like it. I enjoy criticism, contrary to a popular belief maybe. But without further ado, let us begin with the hopefully very good overview on the first steps and priorities of self-improvement. But first, most people cannot start any self-improvement journey without an initial event that got them there. It usually involves noticing that the own previous way clearly isn't working and something has to change about the way we go on about things. That's the reason why some people cannot be convinced. They need that experience first. You can do whatever you want, you won't convince some people of the benefits of self-improvement. If you really want to be sure that self-improvement is for you, maybe do a guided daydream. I made a video about that. However, try to be somewhat specific and choose a big life goal that makes this thing a lot easier. Okay, but as always, I like to begin with a short frame of reference, in this case of self-improvement. What you see here is the landscape of self-improvement in general. To the left, there are all the beginner habits out there that people typically like to get better at when they first start. And the more we progress toward the right side of the map, the more experienced we become and the more profound the habits get there. So in the beginning we might be interested in things like dating and music and video games and maybe beauty, and maybe we want to do some instant gratification detoxes. But the more experience we get, we usually start lifting weights, take care of our nutrition, maybe get better at personal finances, find a job, find a partner, and become interested in things like health and spirituality and even meditation. Most people are not interested in those things, but the more we are engaged in the entire topic, the better we get at it and the more interested we become in those things. And in essence, most things on the right side have some preconditions on the left side. And the entire process can take up to 15 years of time. It is a lifelong learning process. And a typical journey through the map might look like be something like this. You start with instant gratification detoxes and move over lifting through confidence increasements. Maybe you do some weight loss, find a job, go to university and find a partner. So this is something many people do and like. Another person might start with music, wants to get better at dating, improves their hygiene, their fashion, gets a lot of friends, family, starts spirituality, progresses toward health, and in the end they start meditating a lot because they start to enjoy it. And this is something like a typical path through the map or the landscape of self-improvement. There are many, many other ways that you can take through the map, but this is just to give you an idea. Okay, but let us continue. Well, the first thing people usually try is entirely willpower and discipline based when they try to get good at something. They want to change everything at once, right now, so they can go back to their old lifestyles as soon as possible. That approach is doomed to fail, as both mind and body hate big changes at once. I cannot overstate the importance of that. Take baby steps. Don't try to change everything at once. There's a compound effect of interest or of improvement in that sense. And willpower and discipline are limited resources and they will run out at some point, and the more you do, the faster the resources will run out. You have to be smarter about it, and that's where habits as a tool really shine. Habits are autonomous mechanisms of the mind. They just happen on their own. You don't have to invest any resources. And once you made something a habit, you don't need any conscious effort anymore. Humans are habitual creatures, and our default mode of being is doing more of the same. This is what we do. This is what we are really good at. And if you are smart about it, we can use that to our advantage and become better with a relatively small initial investment or effort. We let our energy conservation drive work for us and not against us. That is what smart people do. They trick their own minds and they do not rely on the same limited resources all the time. And if you really want to get good at something or want to reach a major goal, here is how you can go about it. And I like to again display it as a map. You start somewhere at the beginning with a certain set of interests, maybe to the bottom left with playing video games. This is really something that many people like and do. And from that starting position, you have to take everything that you are and your current level of progress into account and your current interests. You will never pursue any habit that lies outside of your circle of competence or your circle of general interest. And if that person that starts with video games is only really interested in music and maybe some endurance training to get into better shape, then they have to choose among those two things. Everything else is simply off the table. But if they did that and then got better at music, there's a lot of carryover and new interests that open up for them, and then they can improve. You can choose a major life goal of yours, for example, finding a partner, but you will not really get there if it is not your primary interest. So if you want to get better at getting a partner or creating a family or something, you want to use the carryover effect to your advantage. And the carryover effect just means that one thing you do has more than one effect. In fact, everything you do has many effects, like meditation makes you better at enduring pains and nagging thoughts and negative emotions, and better at mindfulness and better at concentration. So does everything else. If you lift, you get better at a ton of things. Your nutrition improves, your health improves, your weight loss improves, and all those things. And the same is true for pretty much everything. And when you do something new that is beneficial, a lot of those carryover effects will influence your life to a major degree and opens up new doors that you can take to further improve. And this person here in question moves towards music, towards dating, towards endurance training, and then nutrition. All those things follow naturally from another. And then maybe they have accumulated enough endurance and other positive effects that they become interested in personal finance. And then they find a job because they now know how it works and how they can get a good salary and all those things. And once they have built up enough confidence, they may be very good at finding a partner and all those things. And using this approach, you can build habit after habit until you reach a major goal or vision of yours. And this is really how you get good at something. You don't just pursue one thing that is totally distant and unattainable. You just move towards this map of self-improvement by doing things that are immediately important to you, but you choose them according to the carryover they have. You choose them in a way that gets you also closer to your major goal. And this is one of the secrets, the real secrets to success. You have to be smart about it, otherwise it won't work. And now that we have a good idea of what to expect, we can get a few crucial methods that work for most people. The first one is progress tracking for self-accountability purposes and communities for group accountability. A diary, or writing things down, tracking your progress, really ensures that you can see the progress that might be too slow or too small to notice otherwise. And this can keep your motivation high. Also, you can use the sunken cost fallacy to your advantage in the first case and social shame in the latter case. If you really tell all the people you know about what you try to achieve, you won't feel too nice if you don't go about it and don't accomplish what you tell everyone. And if you really write everything down, you will see that you improve, even if you are the biggest pessimist out there. If you simply move a lot more weight than at the beginning, then progress is undeniable and there will be some gratification and some motivation you can take out of it. It is easier to establish a habit like that, trust me. Tracking progress is one of the early things I started and did and still do after 1,500 days of habit tracking or something like that. And groups of like-minded people are not just important for accountability purposes. They also help greatly with general self-improvement. Even people like Warren Buffett say all the time that you should surround yourself with people who are better than you. Humans learn 80% or more of the time and what they do by imitation learning. They imitate the people around them. And if those people have good habits and good behaviors, then you will adapt to that. You will imitate their behaviors and become better in turn. And if you imitate the right people, you can become better at almost anything passively, just by being around people and just by using the natural learning strategy of humans. We imitate each other all the time and try to become more like the people we spend time with, and it would be a shame to not use that very intuitive, very natural kind of learning. And it is said that we are the sum of the 5 people we spend the most time with for a reason. So choose wisely who you spend time with, as you can also use this effect to work against you if you choose the wrong people. If you surround yourself with instant gratification addicts, the chances are very high that you will also adapt to those behaviors and get worse in turn. So there's an immense power in choosing the right people to spend time with. And another aspect that deserves attention is your mindset, and I cannot overstate how important that is. You can divide people into static and dynamic types that seek improvement in others or in themselves. If you are a dynamic type, you want to change yourself, and that is the right mindset for self-improvement. If you are a static type, you want to change everything else so you feel better. And this is a useless endeavor. There's a lot of everything else that has to be changed for you to feel right again. And there's comparably little you in comparison. And you want to be a dynamic type that takes responsibility for their own mistakes and learns from them. That simple attitude can have a major impact. If you learn from mistakes, really learn from mistakes, and not just try to avoid them to not feel ashamed, then progress is basically ensured. It also helps to have a positive mindset, as our perception really shapes our reality. And there's an effect, the Pygmalion effect, that states exactly that. If we have a negative outlook on life, we are more inclined to see negative things, and more negative things will happen to us. In the same way that we see the exact car all the time we just bought around us once we did that. Our mind is just primed for those things. And when we are in a bad mood, we are primed to see bad things, and bad things will happen. When we are in a good mood, we are primed to see good things, and good things will happen to us. And another very important thing is to have the right kind of expectation. And when people start with self-improvement, they want fast progress. But that is not how it really works. What we can see here is a graph that really shows what to expect when it comes to the progress in self-improvement. On the y-axis, we have just the perceived level of progress, and on the x-axis, there is a time in days. The dashed line at the top is just a skill ceiling for something new that you try to achieve. It doesn't really matter what. Maybe you try to get good at lifting weights or something. And the first part, from day 0 to day 200, is how fast progress can actually happen. In the beginning, it is extremely slow. And it feels slow, but it accelerates over time until it reaches some kind of tipping point, and then it gets slower again. You cannot exponentially learn all the time. It's simply not possible. But you can learn really steep and fast in the beginning. And even if progress feels slow, you make a lot of it in the beginning. But it is not as linearly as people try to make it all the time. In reality, it is dotted, like the dotted line. It goes up and down all the time, and it can feel frustrating at times. But in the end, we always follow this kind of S-curve, and progress really happens, and it happens fast. It is just an exponential curve that feels slow at first and then accelerates over time. And another very important thing to look at is the kind of advice we need when we begin and when we progress over the time. In the beginning, we need simple cues for whatever we start. For example, we could use cues like just start and read a lot and gather knowledge, and you have to read more and you have to work hard and focus on your goals. That is really good advice for beginners. It is general, it is abstract, and it really helps you to get things started. And the more you progress, the more specific the advice can get. For example, you could start building habits. In the beginning, that is not really necessary. You could start exercising, you could start seeking out good friends and a good morning routine and all those things. Then you can continue with modularizing things, taking up responsibility, embracing failure, and then things get more general again. Because we notice, well, all those things we do in the self-improvement stuff have a common core, have common things that we try to be good at. And at that point, we start avoiding stress and we read less because now we know enough. We can waste a lot of time reading if we do it in a wrong way. In that case, we just collect garbage information. That is also something to avoid. And we learn the value of having fun. Because once we have fun at something, we almost do it automatically. And when we are really good at something, we can start following our instincts or our intuition, take risks, maybe focus on the journey, maybe just starting is good again, and meditation becomes really something that is vastly beneficial, because the immediate effects of meditation can be bigger than the initial effects that you try to train in other areas. For example, you can become better at playing tennis just by meditating, which is something that really takes some time to understand. Okay, but let us now come to the actual priorities we should have when we try to improve, because it is easy to focus on the wrong things first and take this pyramid that I display here the wrong way. In the beginning, when we just start out, it is very important that we just follow one very directly experienceable door-opener habit, where it is impossible not to feel and experience the results. And a good thing is lifting weights, because it is impossible not to see progress happening when you lift. You simply become stronger, and you notice that your behavior and your choices matter. And that is really something that cannot be overstated, and I really like to recommend meditation for beginners. And after that, it becomes really important to gather the right kind of knowledge and to understand the priorities of the things you do. At this stage in your progress, you can really have a big influence on how fast things will happen. If you do it rightly from the beginning and really try to understand what is crucial and what is optional, then fast progress will be ensured. And then you can choose a very big life goal or a vision that will keep you motivated. Because when you have a big goal or a big vision, everything else shrinks in comparison. And you know the value of the things you do. Because now you can just look, well, will those things that I just do get me closer to my big goal? And if the answer is yes, then you will get rewarded even for small things like meditation or taking a walk or all those things. And the small vicissitudes of life won't be as big in comparison, because the goal is very big and the things that happen in day-to-day life can be very small. If your colleague insulted you, well, who cares? It doesn't really matter if you have a big goal. But if you have no goal at all, then a single insult can ruin your entire day. And then it is time to remove your mental impediments and the things that hold you back. It is much more important to remove those things that hold you back than to cultivate good habits. The good things will almost happen on their own once you removed the impediments of your mind. And as the mind always comes before the body, you have to start there. And then you can start removing physical impediments. If you are overweight, for example, well, remove the overweight by eating healthier and maybe training your enduring and all those things, and maybe start lifting and all those things. It is a lot easier when all those things at the bottom part of the pyramid are already fixed. And only when all those things are in place, or you are somewhat good at, you don't have to be perfect, but when you are somewhat good at those things, you can start with specializing into other things. Then you can really start following your bigger life goal and really start getting good at it. This is the correct type of priority that you should follow. Don't waste time with things that are meaningless. It is like with lifting weights. People in the beginning start to focus on supplements and protein powders and not on the training. That would be good if they would focus on the training, but they never really do, or very few people do. Okay, and personally, I started with the entire self-improvement business rather late in my 20s. I only really got serious about it at 26 or 27 and started rather slow, but was making quick progress after a time. I was lucky, as I already learned from playing World of Warcraft what it takes to be great and to just apply those principles into other areas. I also documented every insight and every idea I had to explain it to others. That further helped motivate me because I really like teaching. And in essence, I am only really at it for 4 years and a bit right now, but you can achieve a lot in that time if you really want it and if you are really smart about it. And I cannot overstate it. In the beginning, strategic decisions matter a lot. Try to get your priorities straight and there's nothing really in your way. But let us now come to the most important point. Self-improvement is a daunting task when you just start out. There's no denying in that. You see all the things you don't have and don't see the things that you have already attained. Do not waste too much time reading a book. A pragmatic distribution is maybe 5% reading, 15% thinking and pondering and trying to understand with wisdom, and 80% doing. You have to do all the time. If you want to be good at something, you have to do it. You won't get good at playing soccer by reading about soccer. You have to actually do it. And the same is true for everything, for meditation, for dieting, for everything out there. Everything has to be a habit if you really want to be good at it. And every piece of information has the right time and the right level of progress. Try not to blindly follow other people's advice. Try to create your own way through the landscape of self-improvement, maybe using the approach that I have presented in this video. It is important to accept that there are no secrets to success either. People withhold nothing from you. It is hard work and long-term consistency and nothing else, and this is a sad secret to success, an open secret. People tell it to you all the time, but many people don't want to believe it. They really like to think that there is a magic pill that fixes things for you. Anyhow, that is enough for today. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoy this video and what I do, feel free to subscribe to the channel. Apart from that, I wish you a pleasant day and goodbye.